Welcome to Crazy Talk. Alright, I know you can't see me, but it is very, very chilly this fine January morning. It is snowing, which is always a beautiful thing. It is stupid early, but that's okay. Stupid early is a thing. And snowing. So, when I was a kid, I was always fascinated by the concept that no two snowflakes are exactly alike. And as a child, I was absolutely determined that I was going to be the first scientist to go to a place, a climate where it snowed all the time. I assumed that I was going to go to either the North Pole or the South Pole, because as a child, those were the only places that I knew that it snowed all the time. And like that was the graphic distinction, was North Pole, South Pole. There was no Antarctic or pro-Arctic. I don't know. So that was my thing. And, I guess for me, even as an adult, and this may be because I have more of an imagination than I should, but even as an adult, I'm like, really, no two snowflakes are identical. But then when you think about it, on the atomic scale, I can see why that would be. Now, it's my understanding that you've got little bits of dust in the air and little water molecules gather around it, and it forms crystal structures around itself, and then those grow out into a specific pattern. And there's all kinds of shapes. I mean, you can get books, they're kid books, but you can get books that show all of the different types of crystal formations that these water droplets will form to turn into snow. And I got to thinking about it. Technically speaking, the way rain forms and falls, no two raindrops can ever be exactly alike either. No two grains of sand are identical. And so when you think about it that way, I mean, even identical twins aren't actually identical. They're identical from the standpoint of you're looking at them and you may not be able to tell them apart when you're just having a casual conversation with them at a coffee shop. But still, they are not actually identical people. They're not carbon copies of one another. They are two unique individuals. And I've got this big truck in front of me that has its backup beeper on with no reverse lights. I have no idea what the hell's going on in front of me. Look, I'll show it to you. Look, I might not be able to switch this camera around. I can't. Sorry, guys. You might be able to hear it, though. It's kind of weird. And now we're all moving forward, and there is no reverse sound to the truck. So, yeah, I mean, I have seen on my glove snowflakes that look identical. I mean, it's just like they are the same snowflake. But, I can't see them on the microscopic level. So I can't honestly say that they were alike. And, what are we considering a snowflake? I've been out when it was snowing, but when you go out into the snow, it's actually small balls. It's like somebody took a snowflake and wrapped it tightly amongst a couple other snowflakes. And that was what was falling from the sky. And, you're not going to go out there with a needle and dissect these little packed balls of snowy ice to see. But it just, it kind of got me thinking. That's a very blanket statement. No two snowflakes are identical. Well, technically nothing is really identical until maybe you get to like the atomic scale. Once you're looking at like atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, maybe then they all kind of look the same. But I'll bet if you were an atom, you'd be like, see that atom over there? He doesn't look like me. Everybody thinks that we're the same person, but we're not, because we're atoms. I mean, I could be completely wrong. It was just a random thought. The older I get, the more I read. It's a dangerous thing, by the way. The more you read, the more knowledge you gain, and the more you question everything. I was reading an article this morning I was thinking about covering for my studio version of the show, which you guys aren't really privy to very often. I should probably do some more of my studio work on YouTube. But I was reading this article, and it said, scientists predict how close we are to the apocalypse. So the question is this: what is the apocalypse? So the apocalypse, according to my understanding, was based on a biblical account of the end of time. Is that recognizing biblical authority over an event that was predicted back when the Bible was being written? If so, then there's a lot of things that science has talked about, that I've learned about, that kind of gets called into question. Then, I'm kind of sick of these blanket statements. Science says this. Well, science, all I have to do to make it factually correct is say science blanket statement. Science says that if you back into a wall at 20 miles an hour, it will raise the value of your car. Science says, I don't know. I can't think of anything that science would say that would be off. But I'm reading these articles, and truly that's how they lead the article. According to science, blah, 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 very unlikely and incredible statement. And then you get into the article, and it's like these random people that have these obscure degrees that vaguely mimic scientists, and they're being called scientists. You know that it has been psychologically proven that all an individual has to do is put on a lab coat, and people will impose upon them a certain degree of authority. And by putting that degree of authority on those individuals, they have then taken responsibility off themselves and put it on that individual wearing the lab coat, even though it is a false sense of security. And I can't think of anything in modern day 2021, most of 2020, that would have been a false sense of security. Nothing that comes to mind. Nothing. Just saying. That scientists once said was stupid. Don't do this action because it's foolish and could actually make things worse. Then same scientist, said, always do this action. Then the same scientist said, do the action twice. But that particular scientist has been seen many times not doing the action that he is said to do. That's all I've got for the car trip. Good morning, everybody. I hope you've had a fantastic day. Good afternoon, good evening, in case you are not watching this immediately following its publication, because chances are you're not. Until next time, stay crazy.